Hello and welcome to It's Your Life Own It, Motivational Moments with Marissa and the Own It family. And so I'm so excited today to have co-hosting with me, Coach Tiffany Para and also Coach Nathaniel X Ross. And he knows I love his name. And so today we're focusing on Mother's Day and motherhood, influence, impact, and results, and empowering our young. And so I just want to share. This is a special time of the year for me. My no longer here, and I love to remember. I love to remember her to make sure that she stays alive and going strong in all that I say and do. And I love to reflect on her influence, impact, and the results that she had in me. I just can appreciate when you talk about women and the dynamics of women, and she was just drama free, and I'm thankful for that. As I have grown up and gone along and made my relationship, she showed me very strongly how to be drama free, to have a lot of class, a lot of self respect. It wasn't always easy. And we were backstage talking. That's why it took us a little longer to jump on and go live, because we were talking about the different relationships and the different experiences we had with our moms. And so I love my mom, but during my adolescent time, where I'm a talker. I love to communicate. That is my one of my biggest love languages. It's not to argue. I don't like arguing. I don't like conflict. I don't avoid it, but I don't really like all of that. I feel like we should be able to have conversations and, let each other be ourselves, right? But in my family, when I became a teen, there wasn't that conversation. There was no conversation for what's next. There was none of that. There was a clashing. And I think that that came from one, the way that things were done back in the day. And then two, also that where our moms have their priorities while their children are growing and developing. In one area I know, and we'll talk about men next month, but I wanted to make sure that I shared this perspective with our moms is that if you are married or if you're in a love relationship and it's not going well, sometimes our tendency is to pay more attention to that love relationship, which is a priority, but we also neglect our young, our children. We have to be careful of that, because our children need us. They're in a developing stage, and they need us to make sure that we're paying attention to them and that we're available to them as well. So I just wanted to share that because I believe that that makes a big impact on the results that you get with your children. Men, just to charge you, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next month. But you guys have to be more conscious of the impact that you have on how you're affecting the mom and how she's showing up for the children. And so, as I segue, I leave that alone. I want to talk to Tiffany. Let's do a shout out to the moms for Mother's Day. And just before we do that, I just want to say to our audience, we're going to talk about physical fitness and why moms need to be in shape and be in physical, in good health. And then we're also going to talk about how moms need to be conscientious of their finances and get and keep their financial house in order. And so, Tiffany, share your insight on Mother's Day, impact, influence, and results.
Yes, yes. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Marissa, for having me this morning. Happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers out there as well. It's tough. I mean, it's tough being a parent, period, but it's even tougher being a mom. I mean, because we are the ones that we tend to juggle a whole lot more, And I think with my mother was like Rosie the River. Okay, my mother worked for Boeing for over 40 years and also raised two children. She cooked almost every night. All
Wow.
right. So to be able to work, 10, 12, 13-hour days, come home, cook for the kids, make sure that the house is clean, make sure that, hey, you know what, the husband and the kids got, meals for the next day, they got lunch ready, all those types of things. It's a lot, but it really taught me so much. Just kind of watching my mom navigate, watching her work ethic, getting up at she would get up at 2 a.m. and be out of the house by 3:30 to get to work in Long Beach, which is about an hour, hour and a half away at times, depending on traffic. But she'd have to be there at like 5:30. in the morning.
Mm.
So watching that every day, I think that trained me to be the person I am today, because I am the early bird. I'm waking up at, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, to get my workout in, get myself started, get going. And, it definitely did train me to be the person that I am, and just kind of appreciate, just this navigation. But as we navigate, as you were saying, the health and wellness piece, that's the part that we tend to
Mhm.
put by the wayside. We're doing everything else. We're taking care of the kids when they're sick. We're taking care of the spouses when they're sick. We're taking care of other people, when they're sick. But we don't pay attention to ourselves. We don't pay attention to some of the things that, are the cues that our body's giving us,
Right.
until it's sometimes too late. I mean, in my situation, I went to a routine doctor's check and was told, hey, you might die if you don't make some changes, honey.
Right.
My son was 5. Like, wait, what am I going to do?
Right.
You got to get yourself back in action. You got to kind of figure out how to say no to certain things and say yes to you, because
Yes.
that's the most important thing as a mom, to say yes to you first, so you can be able to take care of everybody else and hold that heavy load that you're carrying.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. It helps you that when you're in physical shape, you can actually use physical fitness to get rid of some of your stress too.
and
Right? You can if you
yes, you
if you
can.
if you are intentional about it, that's the area by which you go to the gym, you work out, you get that stress out of your system.
Well,
So
that's those endorphins, all those feel good hormones. When you go to the gym and you work out, that's what it does. So when you leave there, I feel like I'm floating. I don't know about you, Marissa. When you left the gym this morning, did you feel like you were floating?
yes, I do. And I feel good because I made myself a priority. And
Right.
so I made sure that I got up. It's hot here, so I want to beat the heat because like I shared with you guys backstage, I walked to the gym so that I would have the cardio and the walk, and it's a walking distance. So why would I not
Right.
utilize that intentionally to say, no, I don't need to jump in the car. I need to move this body. And at 50, I'll be 55 this year. At 55, you gotta, if you're not already doing it, you better move that body because we're getting ready to stiffen up.
Yes.
Everything is getting ready to, I feel it. And then I have herniated disc in my back. I have back damage. So that sits on your nerves. So believe it or not, that hits all up in here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel all of that. So if I don't go to the gym, it's going to be a lot worse for me as I
Right.
continue to get older. And
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
it's so important. A lot of what's going on in our bodies and in our mind and things like that have a lot to do with how we're being physically fit. Confidence even comes, just like you said, confident. I was in that gym, was like, I know how to do this. You feel good. You know what I
Yes,
mean? You feel good. You feel proud.
that's right.
And then as you begin to see, if it's about weight loss, as you begin to see your body melt,
Yes.
back into what it used to be, because you can, even at 55 and even with menopause, you got to see because we just finished the conference here in the Dominican Republic. Now, as I was sharing with you guys backstage, I do not like the pictures because I've not had this level of weight on me in over 10 years. And so for me, I'm feeling it. And I can't, somebody else may say, what is she talking about? I feel the 20 pounds. I mean, I feel it. And so it makes a difference for me. And while the pictures are out there, I just said, Marissa, you know what that's going to be? Before pictures.
That's right. That's right.
In a minute, you'll begin to see that even at 55, when they lie to you and tell you that you cannot do things. And if
Right.
you buy the lie, then you'll compromise and you'll become complacent because you'll say you're defeated already. So why go? Because you can't lose the weight at this age. But I'm going to tell you, what we're sharing with you takes a defiance. It says, I'm going to buck the system and I'm going to say, even though stats say this, I'm not stats. I'm me.
Right.
I'm going to buck this
Exactly.
thing and I'm going to make this weight come off of me. And that's exactly how I did it, because I have my own testimony of in 2009 coming into 2010, I was 185 pounds. And I had to say to myself, okay, Marissa, where the hell are you going from here? That's
Mm-hmm.
200 pounds. You're getting ready to be 200 pounds. And I had to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had
Right.
to make some serious changes. And when you get that pissed off, and I use these words because if you want, you got to be violent about it. You got to take back your life. You can't negotiate with it. You can't. No, that's over. You have to got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then you have to change the behavior so that you change the results that you get. And I'm going to tell you, watch and see. In 2 months, that 20 pounds or whatever. It doesn't necessarily, because you'll validate this, doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be pounds. It can be
Right.
inches. It's just
The inches.
how my body looks will be transformed
Right.
as long as I keep my talk and my walk in alignment. And
That's
so
right. That's
I,
right.
I just want to charge you, because whatever it is that you want to accomplish, it's doable. That's what It's Your Life, Own It is about. It's own your life. Take it back. Stop allowing things to happen and start becoming strategic and intentional. And so as
Right.
we segue from that,
Oh, I
I
want to add something else in real quick,
go ahead.
Marisa, because you caught me on it. Um, the other thing that you want to remember, and you just proved it. You don't really like those pictures, but you're like, you know what? Those are gonna be my before pictures. I'm good with that. And that's showing self love. That's that unconditional self love that you have to tap into in order to get those results. You're okay. You're like, yeah, I got to get better because of my health. Because I don't want to move into, getting older and having to deal with all these things that come when we have a little extra weight on us.
Right.
You're like, hey, I'm okay. Some
Yep.
people don't own that. Some people are like, oh man, I got this 20 pounds on. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit back. And then they just sit there. The pounds go on. And even if the pounds don't go on, I mean, there is something called skinny fat. I'm sorry. If
Yes.
you may just say, hey, I'm just not going to eat. I'm going to starve myself. And the little things that you do eat, your body's holding on to,
Right.
and it is not happy. So I commend you, and because you have that self-love, you have that unconditional self-love. And I charge any woman out there, when you start to backslide, remember the self-love, remember that unconditional love that you have for you in order to get to the other side.
Yes. Yes. It's
So
so
in
important.
10 years when I'm 55, I now know what to look forward to. I just wanted to say that it's not for most people, it's not intuitive what you all are saying. It's when uh someone has a full day, and it's like, do I go work out now? And they say I'm too tired to work out. It's because they're not understanding that it's not intuitive. But if you do work out, that's going to indeed give you additional energy.
Mhm.
But most people think, if I go work, I'm already exhausted. If I go work out, I'm going to be even more tired.
Right.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to point that out, because for the people who don't work out, you have to reverse the way you're thinking about it.
Mhm. 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 And initially, when you start working out, there is a period of time when you are tired.
Yeah.
And I recommend I work out early mornings. And the reason why I work out early mornings is, one, I make sure it gets done. It gets done before my day starts pulling at me in different directions. And then at night, I'm just like, I'm burnt out. I have nothing else to give. That way, if I get to that point, I've already done me first.
Yeah.
So that's why I will do a very early morning workout. I got up at 7 this morning and made it to the gym, and only because the gym only opens at 7 normally. And I do have a personal trainer who will testify to this. Is that I'm a 5 a.m.er. I'm a 5 a.m.er. I'm a 4 a.m.er. Only because by 7 a.m. I really want to start my work day off. I don't want to start my workday off at 8 or 9. I want to start my workday off at like 7, 8 o'clock. That's before everybody gets busy, so that I can kind of sit and have my quiet time to organize myself and not be all stressed out. Because if you come in and everybody's already moving, you're coming into movement. But if you are already sitting, if you work in an office or where other people or anything like that, or you have to deal with meetings right away when you get into the office, you're diving right into work. There's no transitioning. So I've always disciplined myself. I've always arrived at my office at like 6:30 or 7 a.m. So that I can have my coffee quietly and anything that the day throws at me. Because 9 times out of 10, I've always been in a position where it's always required my attention. Marissa. So it's like, okay, well, let me have my coffee in peace. Let me read some emails so that if there's any fires I need to put out before anyone comes to the main part of the office, I'm able to do that. And so you do that, and that lessens all of that stress. You're not coming right into all of that. You're easing your way into the day. And so that's important. And moms, I remember, when my kids used to get on the bus and everything like that, I used to always say, I want to be an early riser. I want to be an early riser. Because I would roll out the bed, put on something decent enough to get the kids to the bus stop, make sure they were on the bus and then come back home, then beautify myself. But as I got older, I started realizing that no, I want to be ready when they get on that bus. I want to already be ready for my day. And so I was able to transition to that. But I charge you this, that when you first start, do not give up, because it is going to be, you're going to be a little lethargic for a while, because your body is setting off those endorphins.
Endorphins.
Endorphins, they're setting that off. Your body is going through change. You got to get the fatigue out of your body, because if you've not been moving for a long time, your body is like set, like it's used to just chilling out. Now you're waking it up, and now it's got to get used to it. So I said also too backstage, I didn't go hard on myself this morning because this is my first time being back in the gym. So of course you want to go in hard because you're excited, but regulate yourself and say, hey, cut that out, because this is not a sprint. This is long term, and you want to make sure that you set up yourself for sustainability,
That's
endure
right.
sustainability. And that's what I had to tell myself, was like, hey Marissa, chill out on your walk up. Walk a little fast because you want to get that heart rate up, but just chill. And you want to be careful too, because we are older. We don't want that heart rate going up so fast that we cause ourselves to have a heart attack. You want to ease your way in. So just be gentle on yourself and you'll sustain yourself. You won't burn yourself out with the first 2 or 3 workouts, but get
Right.
your body active. It's nothing like hearing people who are older not moving.
Right.
The part of your problem is that you're just not moving your body. You're not keeping your body active. And so get that body up and move it. We're going to move along because we can stay into this. We're going to be in this all month. Mother's Day is Sunday, but we're going to be talking to you moms all month long, because we want to pour into you. We want to encourage you. We want to build you up. We want to strengthen you. We want to give you some of our insight, some of the things that we've been able to do to help us to be successful. We want to kind of encourage you, that you can take control. There's nothing that you can't, there's things out there that you can't take control over, but you know what I'm saying to you, the things that you can control. And also what Nathaniel was saying is become strategic and intentional. You want to be strategic and intentional, because the more you're physically fit, the more energy, the more, vitalization that you'll have to accomplish everything that we're going to be sharing with you this month and beyond. So Nathaniel, we're going to shift gears and,
Yeah,
and
we're going to go into finance, but let me point out, when we talk about whatever subject we talk about, they're independent of each other, but yet they're interconnected with each other. So we can talk about finances, but take those same terms in finances and apply them to your physical fitness, right? So you were talking about pay yourself first in finances, but pay yourself first and going to the gym
Right.
and getting worked out. Take care of you,
Mhm.
your physical being, right? We talk
Right.
about compounding interest, the power of compounding interest. You go to the gym and you work out, that's it doesn't prolong your life, but what it does is it prolongs a healthier life, that you're able to move around and do all these things. But if you do it in your since we're older, if you do it in your 50s, the dividends pays itself in the 60s and 70s. And if
Mhm.
you continue doing it in your 60s, it's going to pay dividends in your 70s and your 80s.
Right.
So
Mhm.
even though we're going to jump in and start talking about finances, I want people to not only think finance, but think how they tie to each other.
Yeah.
Love
So,
that. Love
Yeah,
that, Nate. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what this is all about. It's a
Mhm.
holistic approach to what an individual who wants to achieve high goals and they're
yep,
Mhm.
struggling with, how they overcome that so that they
Yeah.
can go and do all that they desire to do, right? To live that
Mhm.
fulfilling life. And all of this has everything to do with it. Your life
Yeah.
and all the dynamics, the relationships, your own mindset, your own awareness, and becoming conscious in every area and every aspect of your life. So we are switching gears over to money, finances, wealth management. And so we talked a little bit backstage, and I wanted to share, Nathaniel. I know that we all you come on, you talk about finance, but I wanted to speak to the mom specifically. I want to talk to the single mom as well as the married mom, in regards to, where do they get started. Let's say if they don't have anything saved, they don't even know where to begin. How do they get started?
well, I think it's one of those things where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You
Mhm.
get tired of being broke. You got to get to that mindset that there's something better. I got to do something other than what I'm doing. And when you get to that point, then you're receptive to working with somebody that's going to help you, that's going to give you some insight as to a better path. And there's a saying out there: when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Mm,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the student, the person has to really be ready to change their circumstances and situation, and that teacher will show. But then the student have to be receptive
mhm.
to the ideas and suggestions from the
Mhm.
teacher in order to change. So I think that's really the answer to the question is, getting to the mindset of being receptive, so that that teacher shows up to give you some guidance and direction.
Right. And what we
Yeah.
call that
Yeah.
is, are you coachable, or are you coaching ready, right? Are you ready
Mhm.
for the coaching? And that's very important too. You have to eat humble pie. I like how Futak Dow used to say it to me. Marissa, eat humble pie. You have to eat humble pie, and you're gonna have to. It's just like I said earlier about looking at the picture. I had to look at the picture, and I could have been like, "Oh, don't put that picture up. Don't do
Right.
that." But that's a lie. To not put the picture up is lying to myself.
Right. Yeah.
Um, to own the truth is to say, girl, you got to, that has to be dealt with, right? That right there has to be dealt with. And that's a part of being open and being ready to learn.
Yep.
Uh,
Well,
Mhm. Yeah.
we talked about that at the conference. If you want to find out what's not going right in your life, follow the lie.
mhm.
The lie will
Mhm.
tell you why you're in the situation that you're in.
Mhm.
And if you want better results to come about, you gotta tell the truth.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter whether we're talking money or we're talking physical fitness,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, and Tiffany, I'm sure you're aware of this. uh, us macho men, we go in the gym and we're trying to lift 200-300 pounds to be impressive, and we're doing it wrong technique, everything, but we're doing it because our egos are engaged, right?
Right.
Um, and they here you are a trainer, and somebody won't listen to you because they're a female, and because you're not saying lift a lot of weights, they're not receptive to coaching.
Right.
But yet they will go to the gym and they'll do it incorrectly, and then they injure themselves, and it's
Exactly.
so it's a little crazy. Um, but people just have to be receptive and ready.
Yes,
You
yes.
do. You do. Absolutely. I mean, I see that all the time. And it's just, you have to be receptive to it. And then you have to, once you are receptive to the right way of doing it, then you have to be consistent in the practice.
And that's working out and
That's
making money.
anything.
It's the
Right.
same thing. The principles don't change.
Yeah.
Right.
But people want to make it seem like it's this very complicated process.
Mm-mm.
Once you learn how to live by principles, you apply them in all the areas of your life, you start to get some consistencies, and you start to get a wave as opposed to a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it's counterintuitive to what people think and want to do.
Yeah, and that's the key. The key is changing the mindset, but you have to be open to changing your mind. You have to be open to that. I like Rochelle Copeland is listening in, and she says, "Follow the lie." Ouch. That's the truth. You know, tell the truth and shame the devil, right? Because then he has no power over you because the truth is already out there. He can't blackmail you with a lie. You don't allow yourself. We call believing a lie as a truth, we call a stronghold. You have to be open to really, really wanting this. And it starts with just humility, right? Humbleness. Not shame, not embarrassment. It's just humbleness and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. I could sit all day long and talk to people all day long, but I don't know all of that. I'm not a physical, even though I know how to get myself into physical shape. I'm not a coach. I'm not a physical fitness coach. And I don't want to know all of that, other than what I need to know from me personally to take care of my life.
Mhm.
I'm not a financial expert, so I bring on a financial expert so that they can tell you exactly how to do it. That's humbleness and humility, to say that, hey, this is where it stops for me, and I need to learn and glean from someone else. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing at all wrong with sitting and saying, I can learn and I need to learn from someone else.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let me share a personal story as it relates to mothers, because I come from a different background in turn. I don't come from a traditional family. My mom, I was raised in the foster care system, so I was in and out of my mom's life, and my mom did she installed some good things in me, um, but there was a lot of not so good things as well. But I want to share this story because to answer, also tie back to the question that you asked. Um, my mom, we were raised in the ghetto of Baltimore City, and I, the ghetto of Baltimore is an environment, right? But it's also the ghetto is also a mindset,
Hmm.
and I was able to shift out of that mindset and move on, but my mother wasn't. And no matter how successful I became, there was nothing that I could do to make that shift happen for my mom. So I
Mm,
was like, okay, let me buy you a home, in the suburbs. She didn't want any parts of it.
mm, hmm.
Mhm.
Let me open, and she was a very talented woman, a
Hmm.
seamstress, fashion designer. And I said, let me help you open your own business. She didn't want any parts of it.
Wow.
My mother was raised and died in the ghetto by choice, but it was because her mindset never shifted, that she
Mhm.
never believed that she could have more, even though she saw me do it. She didn't
Right.
believe that she could do it.
Mhm.
And that's for me, that was one of the hardest things I had to deal with, is to
Yeah.
watch my mom suffer and go through what she was going through and me not be able to help her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't just throw money at it.
No.
Um,
Mhm. No.
so it's like, it goes back to the question of of women that are out there that are single. My mom was single, raising 2 kids, and she had, dated different guys, and the guys were jerks, and um, but she never made it out. So for those mothers that are out there that are single, I can tell you, because I've worked with single moms with 2, 3, 4 kids and have helped them get out of their financial situation, because we were able to I was able to coach them and show them that there was a pathway, there was a brightness to the future. And
Mhm.
once they can see that brightness to the future, then all bets are off.
Mhm.
Because now you can start to apply the technical stuff as it relates to money, you
Mhm.
know. And I'm tying it right back to fitness, because that's what we're talking about today, is fitness and finances. You can go to the gym and you can work out, but if you don't believe that you can do it, you're going to give up,
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
But once you see and understand, I got this, the sky's the limit in terms of your health and your well-being. I have a very good friend. He's a year older than I am, and he was just sitting around getting old. And I said to him, dude, you got to move. Oh, I can't. I got this. I got that. And I was like, dude, you just got to move.
Right.
And he had every excuse under the sun. So I had to change my approach with him. Instead of telling him you need to move, I said, well, I got a project I'm working on. Can you give me a hand? Because you know the skill and I don't, but I can do the labor. You just make sure I do it right. And when he got out there, he started doing the work, right? He was
Yeah.
like, no, 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 you do it like this. And the next thing you know, he was doing the job. And every day he'd show up and he would do the job. And then it clicked for him. Wait a minute. And,
Now
I
I'm
kid you not.
moving.
I kid you not. And today he does 45 minutes to an hour on the elliptical, all starting from him helping me with that project.
Yes.
And he has a serious heart condition.
Wow.
But he couldn't see beyond what the doctors had told him. Your
Right.
life is over,
Yeah.
da 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 da
Yeah.
da. And he, so that those two, again, it's connected. You got to be able to see and believe in order
Right.
to get to the end result that you're looking for.
And so I want
Absolutely.
to kind of tag in on that, because you talked about your mom and you talked about her, not being able to, and sometimes it's just a decision. Some people don't. There's a reason why there's 1%, 5% that have these levels of achievement, because some
Mhm.
people, that's not their desire.
Right.
That's our desire. I remember sharing, my sister said, Marissa, everybody doesn't want to do what you do. And I said, well, that's not my point. My point is not doing what I do. My point is never settling for mediocrity, right? Don't
Mhm.
settle. If you really want something, go after it. That's my desire, is that if you want something, I want to encourage you to go after it. Not what I do. This is not about that. This is about making sure that you live the life that you envision yourself to live, without compromise. Don't give up, cave in, or quit. So you talked about that, and you talked about environments, and everything has a system,
Yes.
right? There's always a system in play. There's systems thinking,
Mhm.
systems processes and processes. There's systems policies, politics. Every situation has a systematic approach. It's a process. It's a cycle that it goes through, or it's a process that it goes through. And so sometimes, and you just flip the script. So I know for me, with my children, I didn't have, what I want to say is great ambitions or whatever. I just wanted to make sure that my children understood that they had an opportunity to do whatever it is that they wanted to do. Um,
Mhm.
but I also, as a mom, had to realize too that they may not want to do great things. Just like you, as the child, was saying to the mom, hey, mom, I got to this level of success and I want to give back to you. I see your talent. I see your gifting. I said, the same thing happens to a mom with her offspring, her children, or a dad with their children. Uh, And we want them to do great things. But we have to remember too that they have their own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to charge to moms that if you are in a place where you're looking at your children and you see their greatness and you see, sometimes you got to step back and you got to let them see some things for themselves and then make their own decisions. So don't feel bad, moms, if you have children and you think that they should be doing all this great. As long as they're mentally healthy, they're happy in doing what they're doing. Um, they feel whole and complete and they really enjoy it, then that's good. Be there if they ever change their mind and want to accelerate. That's all. Just be there when they say, Mom, now I hear what you're saying. Oh, I get it. I have an aha moment. Then by all means, then you're ready to say, hey baby, I was waiting for you. Or if they never do and they're happy and content. Because my daughter said to me one day, my oldest daughter, she said, "Mom, you like this big house. I don't want this big house. I don't want that for me." At first, I took it as an insult. Then God had to, as you make yourself available, realize that no, it's not an insult. It's just that that's her taste, and
Right.
that's cool that she has that taste. She's my ride or die daughter. And if I need anything, that girl rises up to the occasion. And I had to learn how to just say, hey, this is where she wants to be. And she's content and she's happy in that. As long as our children are emotionally sound and they are living what they're telling you. Listen to your kids, listen to your kids, listen to the people around you. If they're saying that they're happy where they are, as long as it's healthy, it's not harmful to themselves, and they're flourishing in that, be okay with that. Don't. I'm saying remove the guilt from yourself, not having to, because sometimes as parents we get like, oh, they gotta. No, that's not our responsibility. It's our job to guide them and to lead them. Then you also shared about how giving them that aha moment, right? That aha moment that says, hey, you can actually do this. I call that the approach. Make it clear, right? Make the pathway to success or to reaching a goal, the result, make it clear to them. And once it's clear, as long as they want it and they desire it, now that was half the battle, right? Now you have to make it achievable. Show them how they can get it done. Then they're like, oh my God, now it's ownership time. I can actually do this. Woo! That's it. That's motivation, right? And then tell them what the payoff is. The payoff is at the end of the day, you're no longer broke, busted, and disgusted. Right now, you no longer you reached your now when you look in the mirror, you don't care what pictures go up because you're content with them, you're happy with them, you're pleased with the results. So it's the CAP approach: clear, achievable, what's the payoff? They will be motivated to the end to get results when they know what the payoff is high value to them. And so I just I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Tiffany, give them some tips on how do they get started with getting physically fit, and then Nathaniel, I want to hear from you. How do they get started getting financially fit?
Okay.
So really, it's just putting it on your schedule and being impeccable with your own word to yourself. If you say, okay, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to work out 3 days a week, then you're going to get up at 5 a.m. 3 days a week and you're going to do that. Now, if you feel like, oh my God, I just cannot do that myself, find an accountability partner. Okay. I am that accountability partner. I am one of the best accountability partners that you can have. Okay. Because I will text you, I will call you, we will be on Zoom. Okay. I'm going to make sure that you get fit wherever you are in the world. So if you need someone right there with you, find someone that needs to lose a little bit of weight as well, and someone that has that like-mindedness with you. I found a woman that was a friend of my son's. It was actually a kid's mom. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm about to go to this new gym. Are you down? And she's like, I am, because we had started walking together for a little while, and we got to the gym every single day at 4:30 in the morning. This woman, to this day, I have now moved on. Okay, she was with me before I became a coach.
Oh,
She's
wow.
still going to the gym to this day, and she's still going at 4:30. She looks magnificent, and it's just because she started and she got that accountability partner.
Yes.
And you want to also make sure it's not just about moving, it's also about what you're putting in your body. So when you get up in the morning, make sure that you're putting a healthy breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, people. Okay. So make sure that you either have a, superfood shake, something that has all the vitamins, minerals, all the nutrients, everything that you need, or that you're eating, hey, I love eggs and spinach. I will start with my egg whites and spinach, and then I'll have some fruit, and I eat every couple of hours because I want to keep that metabolism going. So those are just a couple of tips that I did to be able to release a lot of weight. It was slow and steady, so don't think it's going to happen right away. It took me 3 years, people. Okay, so if it doesn't happen in a month, something is going to happen just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just keep the faith and just keep going.
Yeah. Keep at it.
Yep.
You're up, Nathaniel.
Oh, some tips. I think for the single mom, and it doesn't have to be for the moms that are out there. I think I'll give a tip in each area. So stop. The first is stop creating debt. Debt steals from your future. So if you can stop creating new debt and get your old debt paid off, that's a very good thing to start doing. The second would be to live within your means. Most people spend everything that they have and then some, which creates debt. So whatever you make, try to work towards that 50-30-20 rule. You should be living at 50% of your income in terms of covering the cost of living. 20 well, let me explain the rule and then how I changed the rule. So 50% you should live
Yeah,
off.
Daniel.
Yeah, 50% is what you should live off to cover your housing and your food and your essential stuff. 30% is for your wants, right? And then 20% is for your investments. Now I reverse those two and say 20% is for your wants and 30% is for your investments, because you want those investments to grow so that you're not working in old age. And there's a lot of people now that are retired that are going back to work, and it's a horrific thing to see. But again, so we got three separate components, but they're interrelated to each other. Stop making debt, right? Live within your means. If you can live within your means, you can get rid of that debt. And if you can get rid of that debt, you can now take those dollars and put them over into your future for investment purposes, which is going to take care of you in older age. So those are the three things: is debt, stop it, your budget, live within your means, and invest in your future.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Very good tips. And I like taking my notes. And I got some wonderful things to do with these notes too. God is always giving me ideas. It's like, Marissa, how do you use this? How do you become more effective and your approach to making an impact and a difference? And so I just want to address, we're going to close out, but I just want to address what Rochelle said. Sometimes parents think they are defined by the choices made by their children, and vice versa. And sometimes children feel like they're defined by their parents when they're kids, because we fail to realize that children want to be proud of us. That when they go to school, when they go show up, just like we want to be proud of our children want to be proud of us. So we have to be good, solid, foundational role models for our young people, because they want to be proud. When they go to school, they want to be able to boast about what their family is up to. And we have stepped so far away from that, doing whatever we want to as adults, showing them ridiculous behavior, and they're embarrassed. Our kids sometimes get embarrassed of us. And so we have to realize that our decisions and that what we do, what God really wants us to do with our children is to love them.
Yep.
He wants us
Yep.
to
Yep.
love them, make them feel like they are loved, that they are
Mhm.
protected, that they are cared about, that what they say and what's on their mind is important. They want us to sometimes listen and not be there to tell them what to do, just to listen. We need to have more, uh, based on their age, their stage of development. We need to have more solid, responsible, mature conversations with our young people. We need to start telling them why things are the way that they are, how things actually work.
Mhm.
And if that means that we have to learn and grow, then we have to learn and grow because ultimately, just like Nathaniel was trying to, be there to support and help his mom, our children are going to be taking care of us. like ultimately somebody is going to be taking care of us, whether it's a spouse. I talked about that on the love relationship, sweetheart, before I say I do, or our children. And we want them to be wise, grounded as best we can, so that they can take care of us later on. They can take care of themselves, but they can also make wise decisions for our futures because we may not be able to speak for ourselves one day. And I want to get into succession planning, Nathaniel, as parents and as families. We talk about that in organizations, but I want to bring succession planning into our conversations as it pertains to our families, because that's what you gave out, Nathaniel, in that sheet. That sheet that you gave us to see if our financial house is in order, that's about succession planning. And so I want to make these things that are used in organizations, I want to bring them over into the family dynamics because that's what we are, empires. Our families are empires. There are businesses. There are businesses first before we go to a job. It's our family, right? So I want to bring these conversations into this arena because these are things that will help us to understand why we have to have our house in order, why we need to have these conversations with our children, why our children need to be a little bit more mature, and more aware, earlier in life so that they are able to handle, process, and be on top of their game later on. And so we are we are defined by what we do with our lives. We are defined by um, how awakened we are to being strategic and intentional. Doesn't mean that we don't have to have fun. We have fun, we can have a good time, but we have to lay a solid foundation so that we can be healthier mentally, spiritually, physically, that we can be healthier. And that's what this is really all about, is for us to begin to enjoy, have a better quality of life overall. And so, closing thoughts, guys.
I would share that in what you were just saying. But there's positive and negative energy in the world, and anything that we say and anything that we do is going to have a positive or a negative spin to it.
Mhm.
And I know that in raising my daughter, I swear I could have killed her. There were times that as a teenager, I was that far from going to jail.
Come on, that's all of us, right, Tiffany? That is
Yeah,
all of us.
yeah. But I instilled in my daughter the stuff that I teach, and it was like, so she started learning like at 14 this type of
Mhm.
stuff. I had those conversations with her, and I took her to I took her on a trip to California with me for a class that and when we got there, people were walking up and shaking my hand and saying how great it is to see me and thanks for their piece of advice I'd given them. And she looked at me and she goes, "Who the hell are you?"
Oh,
And
oh.
the reason I say that is because parents, look, your children only see you through their perspective.
Mhm.
But guess what? We only see our children through our perspective. And I had the pleasure of my daughter's, well, she'll be 32 in June. And she is an attorney by trade,
Mm,
by profession. And she's a senior political strategist. and I got to see her work. And I'm so proud of her. But that's not my little crazy daughter.
Right.
And I had to switch my view and
Yep.
see her as a professional woman
Yep.
and watch her in all her glory. And we all have to change our views and our perspectives, whether it's our kids looking at us or us looking at our kids, um, and be open and receptive to people being who they are. So, like I told you, there was good and bad with my mom.
Hmm.
Um, we were in and out of each other's lives, but 3 years before she died, we actually connected and we got to know each other as people.
Right.
And when I saw who my mother was as a person, it was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So I was glad that I was able to have that experience before she passed.
Amen. Amen. And that's why I always say, be open to the relationships. Like,
Yep.
don't don't cut people off, in a finite way. Because if there's reconciliation that can happen, that is so healthy for us. That is so healthy for us if reconciliation can happen, and it can happen in a positive, non-toxic, but healthy way. Because then we get healing, we get freed.
Yeah.
We don't have a negative bond to that relationship. We have now a positive bond, which gives us positive energy and an ability to move forward freely. So that is so important. Forgiveness. Um,
Yes.
I
Yes.
thank God because before my mom passed away, I had already become a mom. I had already became a wife. I had already purchased my first home. I was able to be a woman before my mom passed, and I could relate to some of the struggle that she was having because now I'm a mom, now I'm a wife, now I'm, running my household, so to speak, and I could relate and have empathy and compassion for her imperfections, so to speak, or not showing up for me as a teen as I would have wanted her to. I can now say, oh, I don't know everything that she went through, but man, I get a little bit of it, enough of it to say, hey, lady, I love you. You did what you could do for me before she left this earth. That's so critical.
Yep.
Tiffany?
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think another thing that we want to look at too, and especially I look at it like as like for my physical, with my son, he's watching, and they're always watching us. So if we're putting stuff in our body, if we're putting toxic stuff in our minds, toxic stuff in our bodies, they're going to do the same thing.
Yep.
And I really, as I, communicate with my son, we really try to stay very open. And believe me, Nate, I have been there. He's 18 and I want to kill him almost daily, but I love him to death, and it is all about that love, and just letting them just be the person that they can be, but just watching him now, he does do, the exercises. I see him stretching, I see him doing all these things, and you're setting that foundation for them, so you just want to just continue to know that they're watching and make those right choices for yourself, make the right choices in the people that you're surrounding yourself with as well, because those people are going to be the ones that impact your kids as well.
Yeah.
It takes a village, right? So it's really just being conscious and aware of just, the energy and all, y'all know I'm the energy lady, right? So just the energy, the people, just everything that you're putting around your kids. So
Yeah, it's so important. And as I said on the top of the show, how my daughter was like, I don't want all of that. I don't want all of it. What's interesting is if you hang around long enough and you're open enough for God to do what He does in your life and in your family's life. I took my granddaughter, we were riding back into Plainfield, and I took her. Um, if you're familiar, I'm not sure if you're familiar at all, Nathaniel, with South Plainfield or Plainfield area. Okay, so I took her down a Woodland Avenue. Woodland Avenue is it's called Sleepy Hollow, and so now it's years later. The properties have now been separated and different homes are built on those properties. So I took my granddaughter down Woodland Avenue from South Plainfield going into Plainfield. And I looked up and I said, "Oh my God, this neighborhood is different, right?" And so I said, "Nah, let's go down the road and let's see what houses are here. These houses are beautiful. Those houses are beautiful." And you know what my granddaughter said? "Mima, we need a house like that." And that was your big home with the big, beautiful wrought iron doors and all of that other stuff. And I say that to say, don't get caught up in your children, because what they don't do, your grandchildren may do. I looked at that child and I said, "You are my grandchild." Okay. So, listen, take things lightly. Don't take them
Yeah.
to heart about your children. And your children, when they buck off and they do all this kind of stuff, they're just trying to become adults. They're just trying to get their stance. They're trying to become independent and find their own identity. Doesn't mean that they're branching away from the family altogether, but they have to find their own voice and their own pathway to what their success is going to be. And so I say that I'm so excited. We'll be back next week and we'll be talking about this all month long. So just get ready. We're digging in. This is just the top of it. It's the first week of the month, but we'll be going in. And if you have questions, please let us know. If you want to come on and take center stage, we are interested in interviewing you. We are also interested in having your questions. So if you want to be interviewed, you go to interviewmeonit@gmail.com. Let us know if you're interested in being interviewed, and give us a little bit about your background. And we'll be looking forward to talking to you and speaking with you. You can also leave your questions there at Interview Me On It too, as well. If you want to give us a list of your questions or some topics that you would like us to cover, we would love to do that. We want to hear from you. Take care and be blessed. Mothers, happy Mother's Day. Keep doing what you're doing. We see you, we love you, and we're thankful for you. Be blessed. We are out.